Okay, have you finished? If you have finished, again, I would like you to help me. Can you give me the figures of the foreign currency translation reserve, whether it is a gain or loss, and how much is the amount? 好，又做完啦，可唔可以話俾我聽你嘅銀碼係幾多呢？ Okay, thank you very much. It should be $13,725 loss, right? So let's check whether you get it correctly or not. 我哋又 check 下你做得啱唔啱咯噃。Okay, go back to my answer here, problem 8.3. So first of all, you need to use the average rate for all the sales, cost of goods sold, depreciation, amortization, insurance expense, operating expense, and also taxation. All this using the average rate. And then for dividend pay, please use the actual rate. And finally, the retained profit, retained earnings at the beginning, please use historical rate. 好，咁你又 check 下你用嘅 rate 啱唔啱？ And then if you do it correctly, you can get the net profit of 21,225. So please check whether you get it correctly or not. Okay, can you finish it? Can you please check it and then see if you have any questions want to ask? Check 啱唔啱啦，睇下你有冇咩問題想問咯噃。Okay, if no questions, let's look at the balance sheet, the statement of financial position. So for the statement of financial position, the upper part about the total asset, you will use all the closing rate. When you type in the closing rate, it will come out the figures automatically. And for all the payable, it is also using the closing rate. And for the share capital, you use the historical rate. Share capital, you use the historical rate. And then retained earning, we copy from income statement. And then the balance you need to calculate, it should be $13,725. Okay, so please check whether you are using the closing rate correctly and also the historical rate. Finally, let's look at the reconciliation. The reconciliation, it is increased from 255,000 into 280,000. And then during the year, final the net profit and also final the dividend pay. The net asset at the beginning using the historical rate at the beginning. And then here you use the average rate, you use the actual rate, then the amount should be 120,125. While using the closing rate, it should be equal to 106,400. And then the difference, B minus A, it represents a loss. 好，睇睇下你記得啱唔啱啦，亦都睇睇你有冇問題啦。如果冇問題咧 ，closing rate 就係咁做噶啦。咁你再做多幾題，其實都係咁嘅啫，冇乜變化嘅。永遠都係 income statement 用 average rate、actual rate， 跟住 balance sheet 用 closing rate， 然後做翻個 reconciliation。個 reconciliation 咧就係由 net asset 去到 net asset， 咁中間就一定係有 profit 同埋 dividend 嘅啦。Okay, do you have any questions? 最主要係有冇問題先？ So if no questions, let's look at the remeasurement method. So remeasurement method is a little bit complicated. 咁啊，比起呢個少少難啦，咁但係都可以 read 到啲數嘅。Okay, so are you ready? Shall we start the remeasurement method? 咁呢個就係 closing rate method 啦。咁呢個 answer 咧，陣間落咗堂，我哋都會擺翻上網嘅，咁你可以稍後都再睇啦。如果你有問題嘅，你可以落咗堂留低再問，咁我可以再 show 俾你睇下。Okay, so if no questions, let's go back to our PowerPoint slide, and then I will continue to talk about the remeasurement method. Okay, so we have go through the closing rate method, and then we have do free exercise. It is already enough for you to do a great practice. And then now we talk about the remeasurement method. Remember remeasurement method for the balance sheet, for the income statement, if you refer to slide 23, all the income statement actually use actual rate or average rate, except for depreciation and cost of goods sold. 好啦，咁既然係咁咧，我哋 highlight 啲 item 先 ，cost of goods sold、depreciation、insurance 我要 highlight 出嚟 ，cost of goods sold 要 highlight 出嚟，本身嗰個 standard 已經話到係㗎啦 ，depreciation 都係 ，insurance 點解要 highlight 咧？因為 insurance 佢今次係一個 prepay insurance，prepay insurance 咧就唔係今年發生嘅，係之前 prepay， 所以之前 prepay 咧用翻之前嘅 rate， 呢個紫色係 historical rate，so therefore insurance we need to use the historical rate we have originally purchased. Remember this question?We have the prepay insurance at the beginning, that is at acquisition date, 18,000. And then during the year, we have utilized 12,000. When you utilize this 12,000, you are using the rate at the actual day, actual rate. 我哋用返 actual rate 嘅啫。Okay, so this insurance we use actual rate. And then for the depreciation, the same. The asset exists at the beginning of the acquisition date. We also use the actual rate on the acquisition date. 咁同樣地啦，呢一個嘅資產咧，佢當初買翻嚟係咩 rate 嚇，就係咩 rate。咁做 depreciation 都係用翻個 actual rate，當時嘅 historical rate 嘅。Therefore, for the depreciation and insurance, we will use the historical rate.And then remember, under the remeasurement method, all the gain or loss will be put into the P&L. Therefore, we have insert a new line here before profit before tax. 喺 profit before tax 之前，我哋加條 line， 我哋叫做 remeasurement gain or loss。正數就係 gain 啦，負數就係 loss 啦嚇。我哋加咗呢行喺度。Okay, and then for sales, other operating, taxation, dividend, this is same as before, using average rate or actual rate. 呢幾個 item 都係照舊，用翻 average rate 或者 actual rate。Dividend 用 actual rate 啦 ，retain earning 都係用翻呢一個叫做 historical rate， 即係基本上咧啲 item 同頭先都係一樣噶，除咗 depreciation， 除咗 insurance， 除咗 cost of goods sold， 其他 way 不變，其他 way 不變。So how to do that? Cost of goods, depreciation and insurance, I have already explained it to you because it is based on historical rate. The day you pay the insurance, the day you buy the fixed asset, and then calculate the depreciation based on the historical rate. How about the cost of goods sold? For the cost of goods sold, we need to do a note. Let's have a look for that. Cost of goods sold is equal to opening inventory plus purchase minus closing inventory equal to cost of goods sold. Remember, cost of goods sold is opening inventory. Opening inventory 16,000, closing inventory 18,000. We can get this information here. Opening inventory here, Opening inventory 60,000, closing inventory 18,000.Cost of goods sold 380,000. Therefore, the only figure we do not know is purchase. 咁喺呢度嚟講咧 ，purchase 係一個 balancing figure 嚟嘅。Opening inventory 你知 ，closing inventory 你知 ，cost of goods sold 喺 income statement 度諗，一個喺上年嘅 statement of financial position， 一個係今年嘅 statement of financial position， 一個係今年嘅 income statement. Then you can find out the purchase.It is the balancing figures. And then based on the information, opening inventory should use the historical rate. Closing inventory should use the closing rate. One is opening closing rate, one is year-end day closing rate. 咁我哋用翻 0.81 同 0.77 係咩嚟嘅咧？ 0.81 上年嘅 closing rate， 0.77即係今年嘅 closing rate， 但係因為個 closing inventory 咧，可能1月買啲、3月買啲、12月買啲，所以佢就唔能夠用 year-end day 嘅 rate 啦，入邊包含咗幾組嘅 closing inventory， 所以題目 given 咗 closing inventory 嘅 rate 用 0.77， 如果佢冇特別俾，你用翻 year-end day rate。So for closing inventory, if the closing inventory includes several lots of purchase, they will give you the average rate of the closing inventory. If they do not give you the closing inventory rate, that means you can use the closing rate. You can use the closing rate. Okay, therefore, when we calculate the purchase, when we calculate the cost of goods sold, opening inventory use old rate, purchase we will use the existing average rate, and then closing inventory we will use the closing rate. Finally, you can calculate the cost of goods sold. 我哋呢度嘅目的係計 cost of goods sold， 因為 cost of goods sold 係由3嚿唔同嘅嘢組成，而呢3嚿唔同嘅嘢咧，佢本身有自己嘅 rate， 咁所以我哋就會有個 cost of goods sold 啦。Okay, and then you get the cost of goods sold here, 299,000 here. And then we need to calculate the gain. We need to calculate the gain. So how to calculate the gain? Let's have a look. So when we calculate the gain, actually we have also from opening to ending. But this time we do not use net asset. Instead, we use net monetary asset or net monetary liability. 我哋翻去題目度揾翻晒年頭嘅時候咧，我哋有幾多 monetary asset and liability？ 睇翻紅色嘅組別，年頭嘅時候我哋有 accounts receivable、cash、accounts payable 同埋 tax payable。記唔記得我叫你 mark 低呢啲叫做 monetary asset and liability 啊？我哋揾翻呢啲組別出嚟。今次我哋唔係由 net asset 做到 net asset， 我哋係由 net monetary asset liability 做到 net monetary asset liability。點解？因為黑色呢組用 historical cost， 舊年用 historical cost， 今年用 historical cost， 下年用 historical cost， 佢永遠都係用買翻嚟嗰日嘅 cost。咁所以對於佢嚟講咧，每一年無論點喐都好，呢堆嘢係唔會衍生出 exchange difference 嘅。So for those non-monetary assets that designate at cost, every year when we do the translation, we will use the historical rate at the date of acquisition. Or at the date of we purchase that asset. Therefore, this rate is using from year to year. There will be no exchange difference. Only those non-monetary asset and non-monetary liability, every year we are using the closing rate, and every year's closing rate is different. Therefore, we just focus on the monetary asset and monetary liability. We pick it out, 50 minus plus 14 minus 100. If you calculate it, it is negative. We call it net monetary liability. If you calculate it is a positive figure, we call it net monetary asset. And then for the year-end date, we have 4 items. Therefore, we will list out all this item, all this monetary asset and liability. So all the monetary assets in beginning, it includes accounts receivable, cash, and accounts payable in slide 44. Therefore, it is a negative figure. So we call it net monetary liability. Excuse me. And then for year-end date, we will have accounts receivable, cash, accounts payable, and tax payable. And then when you do the calculation, it is a positive figure. So we call it non-monetary and net monetary asset. 咁記住啦，淨係 monetary 嗰啲攞出嚟啫。And then during the year, we find out those that are not using closing rate. They are not using historical rate. So we cannot just use the net profit. 今次我哋唔可以就咁攞 net profit 同 dividend 出嚟啦。點解咧？因為入邊有啲使費咧，我哋唔係用呢一個嘅average rate 嘅，有啲使費本身已經用咗 historical rate， 所以我哋就掹翻啲 average rate 出嚟，就係藍色嗰啲啊 ，sales, other operating expense, taxation。Dividend instead of 攞個 net figure， 我哋之前係攞 net profit 啊嘛，原因咧就係因為我哋之前用 net profit 係因為全部都用同一個 rate， 所以攞個 net profit 就一樣啦。但係依家唔係啊，大家都用緊唔同嘅 rate， 有啲用緊 historical 嘅 ，historical 嗰啲唔使理佢，唔會改變嘅。我哋淨拎啲 average rate 出嚟，包括咗 sales 啦、other operating 啦、taxation 同埋 dividend 出嚟。Okay, we get all this out. And then remember for the cost of goods sold, under the cost of goods sold, this purchase is using average rate, therefore we also pick it out. 咁喺個 cost of goods sold 入邊咧，我哋就拆開3件啦，有2件用 historical rate 嘅，唔使理佢，有1件咧就係用緊 average rate 嘅，掹翻佢出嚟。Therefore here will be include all those that are in P&L item that are using actual rate or average rate. Okay, and then we put it here, and then according to the different rates, here is historical rate, here is average rate or actual rate. The amount should be 31,150. However, according to the closing rate, it is 31160. And then B minus A, it is a positive figures. It represents remeasurement gain. 咁我哋同樣都係 read 翻條數啦。咁中間擺嘅嘢咧都係 income statement 嘅，不過咧就不能夠淨係擺 net profit 減 dividend 啦。我哋要逐個擺，咁就睇翻 nature， 真係用到 average rate 嗰啲先拎出嚟，包括 purchase， 因為 cost of goods sold 呢個數咧係有 opening closing rate 同埋 year end day 嘅 closing rate 同埋咧 current year 嘅 average rate， 我哋就掹翻啲 average rate 出嚟，咁我哋就做到啦。咁所以呢度咧會複雜少少，因為呢度係 start with net monetary asset or net monetary liability 嘅。Okay, so do you have any questions? Just the reconciliation is different. And then let's look at the balance sheet item. For the balance sheet item, monetary one, that is the accounts receivable, cash, accounts payable, tax payable, all these 4 items using closing rate. 記唔記得我哋嗰啲嘅 monetary item 就用 closing rate 嘅。How about non-monetary item? Non-monetary item is at historical rate. That means the day we purchase it. So the day we purchase the subsidiaries, use historical rate. The day we purchase the closing inventory, it is given. We use this. And then the day we use to buy the insurance, that is the actual rate. And then share capital, historical rate, and then retained earning, we just copy from the income statement, and then you can get these figures. And bear in mind that for the remeasurement method, the remeasurement gain or loss is put under the income statement rather than equity. 咁呢個就係唯一唔同嘅地方啦。佢哋咧個 remeasurement gain 係擺呢度嘅。Okay, any questions? Shall we do one exercise before we have the break? 我哋試一試做一條題目，然後我哋先至 break 啦。趁你依家有少少印象。Okay, so let's take out the exercise 2. exercise 2都比較易做嘅，所以都可以好快做完。我哋跟住就 break 下。Okay, exercise 2 here. Let me remind you the question again. Exercise 2, translation. So let's do it now, and then you have a practice, and then you know how to do that. On 31st of December 2003, this holding company, presentation currency is dollar, acquired a beta company with local currency, FC. And then this is at acquisition day. Remember, we will have the non-monetary asset group and also monetary asset and liability group. We will have these two figures, monetary asset and liability. And then when we do the reconciliation, we need to use these two figures. And then we have the income statement. We will have the statement of financial position at year-end day. We will have the non-monetary and monetary asset and liability highlighted in blue here. We need to do some calculation. Okay, so for this question, they give you about the exchange rate here. And then now we are using the remeasurement method. So we need to look at this one. We need to look at this one and this one. Okay, so there are equipment newly purchased during the year. So during 2004, there is a new purchase of the equipment. The new purchase equipment, we will use the historical rate of 1.4745, and this worth 15,000. This worth 15,000. Therefore, when you calculate the depreciation, it is used 10%. Go back to the depreciation. Actually, this depreciation involves two parts. It involves the amount of 20,000 and also plus the amount of 5,000。咁呢一個嘅25,000蚊入邊包咗兩條數嘅，包咗舊有嗰件資產，舊有嗰件資產喺呢度20萬要做10% depreciation， 亦都包咗新嘅呢件資產，新嘅呢件資產係5萬，做翻10% depreciation， 所以佢就包含咗兩嚿啦。咁包含咗兩嚿咧，一間 depreciation 咧，你去做 remeasurement method 就要拆開，一嚿2萬，一嚿5,000， 2萬嗰嚿有自己嘅 rate， 5,000嗰嚿有自己嘅 rate。Okay, so the only difference here is you need to reconcile the depreciation. One is for the asset that exists at the acquisition date. The other is for the newly acquired asset, that then you need to use the rate here. You need to use the 1.45. Okay, 咁呢度就係唯一要處理嘅嘢嘅啫。And then for here, remember the closing inventory, you need to use this rate. The equipment, you need to use this rate. So you need to consider all the rate here, Okay, and then it asks you to prepare the part B, remeasurement. If the functional currency is dollar, same as the presentation currency is dollar, now you need to translate from foreign currency into functional currency. So please take out your exercise here, and then you need to fill in. You need to fill in the remeasurement method. 咁你就要填翻呢個咯喎。Okay, go to the slide, exercise 2 remeasurement method. I have told you, part A, you need to do calculation for cost of goods sold. Part B, you need to calculate the depreciation separately. And then part C, we will have the reconciliation. And then I have already told you how to do that. Okay, so my arrangement is in this way. So now is 30, and then from 30 to 35, I give you the exercise time. And then from 35 to 45, I'll give you the break. 咁你可以自己安排啲時間啦，可以先 take 個 break 做又得，或者 break 完翻嚟或者做完先 break 都得。總之我跟住見你咧就會係答9。Okay, 4:9我哋再去 check 個 answer 啦。So please do exercise 2 now, and then we will check the answer in 4:45 after the break for 10 minutes. 咁你自己自由去用呢15分鐘啦。Okay, so see you in 4:45. Okay, have you finished? Shall we check the answer for 8.2, exercise 2, remeasurement method, part B? So can anyone tell me what is the remeasurement gain or loss you are able to calculate for this exercise 2, part B? 好，咁我哋對答案啦。咁 exercise 2嘅 part B， 你有幾多 remeasurement gain or loss 咧？可唔可以話俾我聽？Have you finished? So can you tell me what is the remeasurement gain or loss for this exercise 2? 做好未咧？可唔可以話俾我聽你呢個數計到幾多咧？未做好定係有唔識做？使唔使俾多少少時間你？好，俾多2分鐘時間你，睇下計唔計到，跟住話俾我聽咧，你計到呢一條嗰個嘅 remeasurement gain or loss 係幾多啦？好冇？Okay, has anyone calculated the remeasurement gain or loss for these questions? If yes, can you let me have your answer? 計到呢個 remeasurement gain or loss 未啊？如果計到，可唔可以話俾我聽你計到幾多咧？好，有冇同學做到？Loss 30150，太大啦個數。Anyway, thank you very much for your help。唔緊要，咁我試下同你一齊做一條先啦。咁可能咧，跟住你後邊嗰啲咧就會容易啲做啦。咁始終呢條都係第一次，我哋試下做好冇？好，let me do it together with you for these questions. Okay, so here for the income statement, so remember for the income statement highlighted here, sales, other operating expense, taxation, dividend pay, this kind of information we will also use same as the previous one. We will use the average rate to do that. Therefore, the average rate is 1.42. 咁同樣地啦，呢啲都係用1.42。OK， 咁咪 operating expenses 都係1.42啦 ，taxation 1.42 Dividend pay 都係1.4。sorry, dividend pay 咧，我哋用翻 actual rate. Dividend pay it will be the actual rate that is 1.4. Dividend 咧，我哋就用翻1.4。Okay, so all this we are following the same as the closing rate method, and then for the opening retained earning, we will use the acquisition date rate. 好，咁呢啲我哋做咗咯。And then now we need to calculate the cost of goods sold, we need to calculate the depreciation and also the remeasurement gain. So we will have 3 notes here. So first of all, look at the cost of goods sold. So from the cost of goods sold, we will find out the opening. We know that cost of goods sold equal to opening inventory plus purchase minus closing inventory is equal to cost of goods sold. And then for opening inventory, closing inventory, and then the cost of goods sold, we can find the information from statement of financial position and also the figures from the income statement. Therefore, the remaining figure is a balancing figures for the purchase. So we calculate the purchase here. 咁我哋喺個 financial position 揾到 opening inventory 啦 ，closing inventory 啦，亦都揾到個 cost of goods sold 啦，咁我哋就逼翻呢一個數出嚟啦。OK， 咁呢個就係49萬。And then we follow the information. So the inventory, opening inventory, we need to use the historical rate, that is the acquisition date rate. Purchase, we need to follow the average rate because it is a P&L item. And then closing inventory, according to the questions, it told you that the closing inventory, there is a way for the closing inventory. It should be 1.38. So therefore, we'll use 1.38. So remember, we either use closing rate or average rate, and then some of the other, we will use the historical rate or the rate given. And then we calculate the cost of goods sold here, and then we input here. 咁你擺咗啲 rate 落去咧，你就會計到個 cost of goods sold 咯喎。OK，得唔得？ Okay, and then next we need to calculate the depreciation. So remember, for the case, the depreciation I have already mentioned to you. Originally, at the beginning, the company has 200,000 of the plant and equipment, and during the year, they will have newly acquired equipment that worth 15,000. Therefore, part of the depreciation is from the original equipment. Part of the depreciation is for current years and newly purchased equipment. So we will have 2 items, and then we need to separate these 2 items. If you look at the notes here, we will have the equipment bought down. That equipment bought down worth 200,000, and then times 10%, the depreciation is 20,000. The new equipment that purchased during the year, 15,000 times 10% is equal to 5,000. Then total is 25,000 per the questions, right? 25,000. And then for the equipment that purchased previously, it is already brought forward from the acquisition date. We use the historical rate at acquisition date. And for current year, we will find out the current year purchase date rate. So the fixed asset is purchased on this day, and then the exchange rate at that time is 1.45. So we type in 1.45. Finally, you can calculate the depreciation. Okay, 咁我哋就得出個 depreciation 啦。And then we look at the note C. Note C is to calculate the remeasurement loss. So let's look at the remeasurement loss. For the remeasurement loss, we need to find out the originally not net monetary asset and then the closing net monetary asset. So go back to the questions. Originally, we will have some information here. Originally, at the beginning, we have 2 items, accounts receivable and accounts payable only. So we input the amount here. We input the amount of therefore, the opening should be 17,000. 咁我哋就抄咗落嚟咯。How about the closing monetary item? Closing monetary item, we go to the statement of financial position at year-end day. Remember, this 3 item is the monetary asset and monetary liability. We copy it, 200,000, 5,000, and 120,000. So it equal to 85,000. Then we get this amount, 70,000, and then until the 85,000. Right, so we got these figures. And then inside, we will find out all those that use average rate. So we will type in it individually, namely the sales, operating expense, taxation, and dividend. That is those that use the average rate. 咁我哋就擺翻晒落去啦。咁呢個 opening 嘅，我哋用翻 historical rate 1.5， here 1.42 and then 1.42. And then here for the purchase, so this purchase actually is the purchase in the income statement, that is this figures 就係嗰個 purchase 嚟㗎啦。呢個 purchase 比較特別嘅，佢一個 cost of goods sold 由3嚿組成，而當中嘅 purchase 咧都係1.42，所以我哋都將佢寫埋出嚟。好啦，除咗呢啲之外咧，仲有啲乜嘢咧？唔係用緊 average rate 或者 closing rate 嘅咧，就係 equipment 啦，有個 newly purchased 嘅 equipment。所以咧，跟住 P&L item 下邊咧就係一啲新買嘅嘢啦，包括咗今年嘅 purchase 啦，今年買 equipment 啦。如果今年買insurance， 譬如有個 prepaid insurance， 今年買個 insurance 嘅，咁我哋都擺晒落去。咁所以呢度咧就應該會擺晒一啲新買嘅嘢落去啦。We will have the purchase of interest, inventory, purchase of equipment, purchase of patent, purchase of insurance, etc. Because that newly purchased does not follow the closing rate, right? They will not use the closing rate. They will not use the historical rate. They will use the historical rate. And then the purchase of the equipment here, according to the questions, this newly purchased equipment, actually they have their own rate. The purchase equipment is 1.45. Therefore, you type in 1.45. Okay, let me check again. This. Okay, 113、72、95，跟住240，呢個應該1.4啊 ，sorry 啊。Dividend 呢個我哋用返 actual rate. So for the dividend, it should be actual rate, and then the amount is in this way. The amount is in this way. And then finally, this amount should be used closing rate. Closing rate at year end date should be 1.35. Therefore, the remeasurement gain or loss should be 10,550. 咁就應該係咁啦。So this should be the actual rate, and this should be the average rate. 呢個係個 actual rate 啦，呢啲係 average rate 啦，呢個就係今年新買嘅。咁呢度所有嘅變化咧，就係基於有啲嘢用咗 average rate， 或者有啲嘢用咗 actual rate 啦。咁而我哋嘅結果咧，就係要用 closing rate 去做翻呢一啲部分嘅。Okay, so let me show you the answer again, and then you can check it again, right? So this is new to you. It is that difficult, and then you go through one for you, and then you know how to handle it later. So for the sales, operating expense, taxation, and dividend, we will use the average rate. For the dividend, we will use the actual rate. For the retained earning, we will use the historical rate, which is same as the closing rate method, except for cost of goods sold, except for depreciation, and also we have a new item here called the we call this new item the remeasurement loss. This remeasurement loss should be put under the P&L, and then it's stated in the line profit before tax. 咁我哋唯一要揾嘅咧就係 cost of goods sold 同埋 depreciation 啦。So how to find out the cost of goods sold? Go back to the notes here. The cost of goods sold actually include the opening inventory plus purchase minus closing inventory, and then we find out the balancing figures here. And this balancing figures purchase is purchased during the year, so we will use the average rate. However, for opening inventory, we will use the historical rate. For closing inventory, it has been given a rate here. Then you use the given rate here. So here is how to calculate the cost of goods sold. And then next, we will check the depreciation. For the depreciation, it includes two parts. One is the equipment bought down since the acquisition date. One is the new equipment that purchased during the year. And then both need to have the 10% of the depreciation rate. So this is the amount. For the old equipment, it is already exists at the date of acquisition. So we will use the acquisition date rate, that is the historical rate, 1.5. And then for the new equipment, we just purchased during the year. So we need to use the actual rate that purchased during the year. We use 1.45 that is given in the question. So we calculate this amount and then we bring it here. Okay, then we need to find out the remeasurement loss. So for the remeasurement loss, we need to go through the questions and then find out that at the beginning and at closing. So at the beginning, we have two monetary assets and liability, namely the accounts receivable and accounts payable. And then for the year-end date, we will have 2 monetary asset and 1 monetary liability. Finally, the amount is 70,000 and 85,000. And then you input here. Remember, when you input here, I write the word check figures because these figures you can check by calculating in this way. So you have 2 ways to find out these figures. One way is to use the amount here. The other way is to calculate vertically by add up all this amount, and then you can calculate these figures. So what you need to put it inside here, you need to put in all those that use average rate or actual rate. Put in all those use average rate or actual rate, and then put in all the newly purchased one. Newly purchased one will use the historical rate at actual date. And then this is originally we're using different rates for different item. But finally, for those net monetary item, you need to use the closing rate. And then there is a difference. And then the difference, you need to put it into the P&L. Okay, now understand clearly how to do that. 睇到呢度有冇邊度跟唔切或者唔明？冇，我哋就做晒 income statement 嘅部分啦。跟住咧，我哋去睇 statement of financial position 嘅部分啦。So for statement of financial position, so let's have a look. For the inventory, we will use the given rate, and other item we will use the closing rate. For share capital, we will use historical rate. For retained earning, we will copy the figures from the income statement. So the only thing you need to calculate is the plant and equipment. The reason behind is plant and equipment is historical rate. No, monetary asset at non-monetary asset at historical rate. But this plant and equipment, it involves 2 parts. So let's have a look on how to calculate this Note D. So this Note D, we have existing equipment. Original cost is 200,000, and then during the year 20,000 for the accumulated depreciation. The net book value is 180,000, and then we use the historical rate. And then we have newly equipment that costs 15,000, and then current year's depreciation is 5,000, and then the net book value is 45,000, and we use the actual date rate. Finally, the amount is here. And then you copy this amount and then bring it up here. Okay, so any questions for this exercise 2? Maybe this is newly to you, and you may find that it is quite difficult to handle it. And hope that throughout this illustration, you now know how to handle this exercise. 好，睇睇呢度有冇問題啦。如果冇問題咧，我哋仲有2條俾你去 practice。2條入邊8.2比較易做。8.4就比較難做，咁我想你自己試下做8.2，一陣間我教你一齊做8.4，好？ Okay, now let's move to next exercise if you do not have any questions. If you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, so let's go to next question. That is exercise problem point 8.2. So problem for 8.2, we have already go through part A, the closing rate method. Let's look at part B. The remeasurement method. 再溫一溫呢條題目有啲咩喎？呢條相對比較簡單啲。On 31st of December 2004, the holding company's functional currency is dollar, and then it set up a new company called 4Cs Corporation. This 4Cs Corporation, we will have non-monetary assets and monetary asset and liability at the beginning. 咁你記低呢兩個數咯喎，藍色嘅2000蚊同埋藍色嘅6500蚊，一陣間我哋就要用嚟做 rest 數啦。And then it gives you the income statement, nothing special. It also gives you the statement of financial position at the year-end day. It gives you the blue item, namely the monetary assets and monetary liability. Remember, this 4 item is you need to use when you calculate the to prepare the reconciliation. 咁呢4個 item 又一陣間我哋做 rest 數嘅時候要用啦。Okay, nothing special 就係得咁多嘢啦。So can you please now use 5 minutes to prepare the entry, to prepare the calculation for exercise 8.2. Just type in all this information, calculate the cost of goods sold, remeasurement loss, and then we have the reconciliation here, and then also the balance sheet. So the balance sheet is easy because then there is no newly acquired equipment. 咁呢條應該會淺啲㗎啦。好，咁啊5分鐘時間應該可以做到啦。5分鐘之後咧，我哋又試下 check 下個 balance 啱唔啱啦。好，咁啊用5分鐘時間填一填呢個啦。 OK， 呢條應該淺啲啦。同學做到個 remeasurement gain or loss 係幾多錢呢？ So can you let me have the figures for this remeasurement gain or loss? Because this question is easier than exercise 2. We do not have the depreciation. We do not have newly acquired fixed asset. We just have the cost of goods sold. So this question should be easier. So what is your amount? You're able to calculate? 呢個你計到幾多呢？Gain $243. Very good. Thank you very much for your help. This question is easier, right? Because we do not have too much other things on that. And also maybe before that exercise is the first time you do that. Therefore, you may not have confidence or you do not exactly know how to do that. And after we have go through that exercise, you know now how to do this question. Okay, so let's check it together. And thank you very much for your answer. So for this part, this is exercise problem 8.2 here. So here, for the income statement, we will first, for the sales, we will use the average rate. For other operating expenses, we also use the average rate. And then for taxation, we will also use average rate. And for the depreciation, because there is no new purchase of fixed asset during the year, that depreciation actually belongs to the existing asset, So let's go back to have a look. We originally has the fixed asset here that worth 10,500, and then during the year we have the depreciation of 2,100, and then it have not mentioned. So when you do the calculation, 10,500 minus 2,100, it equal to 8,400. It represents that there is no new purchase of fixed asset. So we will use the historical rate. We will use the historical rate to record the depreciation. 咁呢一件嘅資產咧，其實喺成立間公司當日就已經存在㗎啦。咁所以我哋用翻historical rate 就得啦。And for the cost of goods sold, we need to do the calculation using the Note B. So we will use the opening inventory in the statement of financial positions, purchase, that is the balancing figures, closing inventory, and then cost of goods sold is given in the income statement. And for the opening inventory, we will use the historical rate. For the newly purchased, we will use the average rate. And also for the closing inventory, according to the questions, we will use the date we purchased this closing inventory, that is 0.26. It is given in the questions. 咁因為 closing inventory 咧，好多時都係咧入邊組合咗幾堆賣剩嘅貨，所以佢通常都會俾個 closing rate 俾你，有個 average rate of the closing inventory 俾你嘅。So we can calculate the cost of goods sold here. Okay, so we have got all the figures, and then we are going to have a look on the remeasurement gain. So for the remeasurement gain, first of all, we need to find out the net monetary. If it is positive figure, it is net monetary asset. If it is negative figure, we'll call it net monetary liability. So go back to the questions. For the opening, we just have two items, namely the cash and long-term loan. For the closing, we will have four items, namely the accounts receivable, cash, accounts payable, and long-term loan. So if you add it up all together, it will increase from a negative 4,500 liability become 600. And then in between, we input all those that use average rate, or we input those that newly purchased. So for here, we only have the newly purchased of the inventory, that is purchase of inventory. This purchase, 70,000, represent this amount. And all use average rate, So you will separately put in all this information, and then this is using the average. Finally, you get the figures is negative 393, and then using the closing rate provided by the information, it should be 150. 咁我哋應該係負393嘅，但係而家只係負150啦，咁所以就係好咗嘅，咁所以呢個係一個嘅 remeasurement gain, because it is a positive figures. We use a B minus A. Okay, any questions about how to calculate the remeasurement gain? 呢度有冇特別嘅問題? Okay, so if no questions, let's check the statement of financial position together. So for the statement of financial position, let's have a look. So simply, we do not have too much item here. We just have fixed assets, stock, and these two items we will use historical rate. One is the acquisition date rate. One is the given that the average rate of the closing inventory. And then for the item that is monetary asset and monetary liability, we will use the closing rate. Share capital, we use the historical rate. Retained earning, we just copy from the income statement. Then you can get the remeasurement statement of financial position. 咁呢條就比較簡單啲啦。好，睇睇有冇問題啦。冇問題咧，我哋就去做最後一條。最後一條最複雜嘅，咁我都會同你一齊做啊。Okay, so let's have a look for exercise problem point 8.4. Problem 8.4. 咁8.3咧同8.4條題目一樣嘅，8.3就做 closing rate， 8.4就做 remeasurement rate， 得唔得？呢度有冇問題？好，如果冇問題咧，我哋去睇最後一條啦。最後一條咧就比較複雜嘅，咁我花多少少時間去解釋，因為佢 given 嘅 information 咧tricky 少少，要你自己去揾嘅。So let's have a look for exercise, this problem 8.3. Let's read the question again for 8.3, and then they ask you to prepare the remeasurement methods in 8.4. So let's have a look. On 31st of December 2001, major corporations' functional currency and presentation currency is dollar, while the minor company's local currency is FC. And then they give you the income statement for 2002, and we only focus on 2002. The problem here is they do not give you the statement of financial position at the beginning. Therefore, it is a little bit difficult for you to find out all the things. 咁佢最大嘅問題咧，佢係冇俾到咧收購當日嘅 statement of financial position 嚟，所以做起嚟有啲困難啦。So they have cost, you know that cost of goods sold we need to special handle, and then we have depreciation, amortization we need to special handle. We will have the insurance we need to special handle. 咁喺個 P&L 嚟講咧，我哋有幾個 item 要特別去處理㗎。咁所以呢條就會複雜啲啦。Depreciation, amortization 要特別處理 ，cost of goods sold 要處理 ，insurance expense 都要啊，因為佢個 insurance expense 咧係點樣買翻嚟咧？我哋睇啦。So please jump to note C here, and then we will look at the insurance expense. At the same time, we can also read the statement of financial position at year-end day. Here has the prepaid insurance. It is also referred to note C. 咁我哋睇一睇呢兩個 insurance 啦。第一個 insurance 咧係 during the year 嘅 ，during the year 嘅 insurance expenses 咧，我哋知道咧嗰個銀碼咧就會係呢個嘅800蚊。咁呢個 current year 嘅。And then 咧 balance sheet 帶落嚟嘅嗰個銀碼咧就係5600，咁即係話咧成個大數原身係幾錢啊？成個大數原先係6400，咁即係 opening 有個6400，然後今年咧就用咗當中嘅800蚊，咁所以咧結果咧就剩翻5600，咁即係話原身係有6400咯喎。So you can find out the original figures. You can find out the original figures about the prepaid insurance. And then we go to Note C to look at what is the information about this prepaid insurance. So and then for Note C, it say that the insurance premium is for 2 years policy, and it was paid on 1st of October 2002. Therefore, on 1st of October 2002, they should have give you the rate because this is the historical rate or actual rate when you buy the insurance. So they give it the rate to you. Now it's 2002 December. Therefore, 3 months before the year end, they purchased the insurance for 2 years. That is from 1st of October 2002 until 30th of September 2004. That is for 2 years insurance. And then now is 31st of December 2002. Therefore, it is already 3 months for the year. 3 months for the year. So you can find that 3 months for the year. IS, that means income statement. Income statement, we have record 800. Statement of financial position, we have record 5,600. That means the original amount of the insurance is 6,400. If you use 6,400 divided by 24 months, Every month is 266,000.6. If you use this 266.6 times 3 months, it is equals around 800。咁你會睇到㗎，咁佢就由10月1號2002年咧就俾到04年嘅9月30號，總共24期。咁而家係12月31號2002，咁所以咧就呢個年度就有3個月啦。3個月就係800蚊啦，咁即係1個月係266個6。咁3個月係800蚊，24個月就係6400蚊㗎啦。咁所以你可以用好多唔同嘅途徑咧去計到呢一堆數字出嚟啦。Okay, so you will know that how to calculate the insurance and what is the insurance per month for this information. 咁呢一個 C part 嘅 information 就可以俾你哋揾到晒所有嘅資料出嚟咯。Okay, any questions about this insurance? If no, let's look at additional information A. 咁我哋就由 A 開始去睇翻落去啦嚇。So additional information A, here they give you the statement of financial position at year-end day. From here, we can find out the blue item. The blue item actually is the monetary asset and liability. We'll need to do the reconciliation for remeasurement gain, right? And then we have a look for here. At the date of acquisition, they do not give you the statement of financial position. Instead, they tell you that the total equity equal to the total net asset, that is 255,000. However, only for this total net asset, you do not know how much amount of the non-monetary asset or monetary asset. Therefore, how much is the monetary net asset? We do not know. If we do not know, what should we do? 咁我哋咧就唔能夠知道咧有幾多係 monetary asset liability， 完全都冇 idea。咁所以咧我哋就要喺個題目入邊咧砌翻啲數字出嚟啦。咁通常咧我哋就會揾翻 non-monetary 出嚟。non-monetary 咧通常都唔係咁多嘅啫。non-monetary 咧根據翻呢度睇咧應該都係得fixed asset 啦 ，patent 係今年買嘅，同埋 inventory 嘅啫。咁啊個 insurance 咧上年應該冇嘅，所以唔關事。咁所以咧我哋應該有 fixed asset。同埋有 inventory 喺個 beginning 啦，咁所以我哋就喺度推敲應該有呢兩個數咯。So we guess that there should be we need to find out the non-monetary asset. The non-monetary asset should be the fixed asset and also the inventory based on the information here. And then we need to find out at the beginning how much is the fixed asset and at the beginning how much is the inventory. And then you can calculate how much is monetary asset. 咁我哋知道 total net asset 咧就係255000。如果我哋能夠知道 total net asset 入邊255000有幾多係 fixed asset， 有幾多 inventory 咧，剩低嗰啲就係 monetary net asset 啦。咁我哋就會用呢一種形式去計咯。So how much is the fixed asset at the beginning? How much is the inventory at the beginning? So here it tells you that the opening inventory at the beginning is 87,000. So we have these figures.咁我哋就揾到當中嘅 inventory 啦 ，opening inventory 佢話咗俾我哋聽咯喎 ，opening inventory it worth 87,000. How about the fixed asset? Fixed asset we will look at next information, and then here it also tell you that the ending inventory it give you the exchange rate. For 2003 we can ignore the information because we do not require you to prepare the 2003. How about the fixed asset? So let's look at here. The fixed asset at acquisition day. There will be 31st of December 2001. We will have one that purchased on 1st of January. It worth 200,000. 你而家上邊見到呢度咧，呢個207500入邊應該包括咗兩件嘢，同埋扣除咗 depreciation 嘅。呢度包括咗其中一件係20萬，另一件係5萬，所以加埋係25萬。呢度25萬入邊咧，呢件5萬係今年7月先買嘅，所以只係用咗6個月，一間 depreciation 都只係6個月。How about this? This is a old equipment or old fixed asset. This old fixed asset is purchased on 1st of January 2001. Now it's December 2002, so it has been already used for 2 years. However, our acquisition day is 31st of December, so you can calculate the depreciation full 2 years. However, when you use the exchange rate, you cannot use this. 咁咧，當我哋計 depreciation， 佢真係用足2年嚇。但係當我哋用個 exchange rate 嘅時候咧，不能夠用買嘅當日嘅 exchange rate 去俾咗你㗎。不過我哋 ignore 佢，因為我哋係12月31號先至收購翻嚟嘅，所以我哋極其量只能夠用呢一個 date 嘅 rate 去記錄佢買，就不能夠用1月1號，因為嗰陣時唔屬於你嘅，呢一日先開始屬於你嘅。所以咧 ，for 呢一件資產嘅 historical rate 咧，應該係 acquisition date 嘅 rate， 就唔係 date of purchase 啦。 咁記住呢樣嘢咯喎。So here we will have one fixed asset, and then we know that one of the fixed asset is worth 200,000, right? Therefore, go to your worksheet. We do it now. Go to your worksheet. Exercise at problem 8.4. We do the reconciliation here. 好，咁我哋試下做咗呢個表先咯噃，一陣間你就容易啲 rap 數啦。咁喺跟緊題目 A part 嘅 information 就話俾你聽咧 ，at acquisition date 嗰日咧嗰個嘅 share capital 230啦 ，retain earning 25啦 ，therefore we enter this amount first. So this is the acquisition date. We have the total equity here. And then we need to, this is the total net asset, and then we need to use the total net asset minus the non-monetary asset, and then you can get all the monetary item, right? So we just know that we will have fixed asset, we will have closing inventory, and then according to the information, the closing inventory is 87,000. So we minus 87,000. And then we know that we have a fixed asset that worth 200,000, but this fixed asset is originally purchased on 1st of January, and then when we take up the acquisition of the subsidiaries, it is already used for 1 year. Therefore, we need to times 9 divided by 10 years. 咁因為咧每件資產可以用10年嘅，我哋收購翻嚟當日咧呢一件資產咧已經用咗1年啦，咁所以佢只係值呢個銀碼。Okay, so after you do this calculation, you will know that at the beginning, the amount of the non-monetary asset should be like this. 咁我哋就會知道咧，嗰個 non-monetary asset 咧應該係呢個數啦。OK， 先計呢個數先。咁呢個數咧就要推敲出嚟嘅，因為佢淨係 given 咗呢嚿俾你，你就透過題目揾埋呢兩嚿出嚟，咁將本身 total net asset 嘅嘢減咗一啲 non-monetary 嘅嘢，咁就會變成係 monetary asset 啦。咁呢個有啲難度嘅，咁試做啦。OK, so any questions on this illustration here? We calculate this part. And for this part, it is easy, right? For this part, you just copy all the information. Maybe we do it now. It should be this one.好，咁呢個咧就係喺個題目入邊咧抄翻晒出嚟，咁你就會做到啦。呢個喺翻呢度抄翻晒藍色呢堆出嚟，所以 year end day 嗰堆咧就唔難揾嘅。係 beginning 嗰堆咧，我哋就要推敲揾出嚟嘅。咁所以呢條題目最難嘅地方應該係呢個部分啦。Okay, so any questions on how to find out the opening monetary item and closing monetary item? So once you get here, we are able to write down all the information here. 好，呢個部分有冇問題？冇問題，我哋繼續睇題目噶咯喎。題目未睇完嘅，因為啱先咧其實就講咗呢部分，咁所以就想教咗你計呢一個數先。Okay, so no questions, then we will continue. So we already know that the opening and the closing, because the information does not give you the opening, the acquisition date statement of financial position. So we need to base on the information and to guess how much is that. And then the insurance, we have talked about that. The fixed assets, we have talked about that. And remember, it says that all the plant and equipment can be used for 10 years using the straight line method. And then there will be a full month's depreciation in the months of acquisition. Therefore, for this purchase on 10th of July, you will calculate the depreciation for 6 months, from July to December 2002. And there is new purchase of patent. The patent is newly purchased. That means at the beginning, we do not have this patent. So this patent worth 54,000. And this patent is purchased on 10th of July. So you can go to the exchange rate here. We will have one exchange rate is on 10th of July. That is 0.4. And then it can be used for 5 years. It can be used for 5 years. Again, we also purchase it on 10th of July. Therefore, the depreciation is only 6 months. The amortization is only 6 months. And then the questions say that it incorporates in 1st of January, and then after 1 year, we purchase it, and then the acquisition day. And then they give you the payment of dividend dates and also the rates. So every rate here is important except for this rate. Remember, this rate we need to ignore it because we do not own these subsidiaries until 31st of December. So we will not use this rate.咁呢個 rate 唔用㗎啦。Okay, so based on this information, let's do it together. So we will have the average rate, and then we do the exercise now. So here, for the income statement, we will input all the rate here using the average rate. So let's do it together. Average rate. And then item A, we need to calculate. Depreciation, we need to calculate. So amortization, we only have one patent that purchased during the year. So you do not need to calculate. It is based on the purchasing day. 咁 patent 咧，我哋得一個嘅啫。咁 amortization 我哋用翻買嗰個就得啦。點解 depreciation 唔得咧？因為 depreciation 係由兩嚿組成嘅，唔得啦。Insurance 我哋都係揾翻賣嘅當日。Insurance we just look at the insurance purchase day, it is 0.41。咁 insurance 咧都係用翻呢一個 rate 就得啦。好 ，operating expenses 用翻 average rate， 跟住 taxation 用翻 average rate， 然後 dividend pay 用翻 actual rate。咁我哋就會得出呢啲數啦。好，跟住我哋去計 cost of goods sold，cost of goods sold。紫色嗰啲我哋用翻晒個 average rate 啦，跟住新買嗰啲 insurance amortization 新買嗰啲我哋用翻新買當日嘅 rate 就得啦。Depreciation 要特別計 ，cost of goods sold 要特別計。And then retained earning at the beginning we use historical rate. So for opening inventory, originally the opening inventory it is given in part B. It say that it is 87,000. We use the historical rate. That is the acquisition day rate. Historical rate, that is acquisition day rate. Here we use the average rate. Here we use the given rate. The rate is given. 呢一個 rate 咧，佢話咗俾你聽 closing inventory 係幾多嘅，咁喺呢度 given 俾你嘅 part B 1.39，佢話俾你聽 ending inventory for 2002係1.39。And then we can calculate that the cost of goods sold is 94,980. How about the depreciation? The depreciation it involves two parts. The first part is the equipment. The second part is the new equipment. And then the old part using the historical rate. The new part using the purchase day rate. 呢個就用新買翻嚟嗰個 rate 啦。OK 啦喎，好，咁我俾翻另外一個你容易啲睇，咁我就寫晒啲 rate 個名出嚟啦。好。翻一次先嗱，咁我除咗 remeasurement gain 未教你點做嚇 ，remeasurement gain hold 住先，一陣間教你點做。OK, sales, operating expense, taxation, dividend pay, we will use the actual rate or average rate. And then for the depreciation and cost of goods sold, we need to calculate. For the amortization and also the insurance, we will base on the actual day, actual rate. When do you purchase it? When do you pay it? And then we use that rate. And then for the cost of goods sold, we calculate it. For the depreciation, we calculate it. Okay, so please check the rates now. Check 呢個 rate 先。Okay, and then for the cost of goods sold and also for the depreciation, please check it now. 咁另外嗰兩個 rate 都俾你睇埋啦。咁你抄 check 翻呢個先。OK， 好，睇睇呢度有冇問題啦。咁我哋就做好咗大部分呢個部分啦。跟住我哋睇 remeasurement gain。So let's look at remeasurement gain. So for remeasurement gain, originally we have fill in all these figures. I have already filled in all these figures here. And then what we need to find out is all those appears in the income statement that use average rate, we'll copy it down. 所有用 average rate, actual rate 嘅我哋會擺晒出嚟。同埋所有今年新買嘅嘢，包括 inventory, fixed asset, patent 同埋 insurance 都擺晒出嚟。Because this kind of information, they are using their own rate during the year, which is different from the closing rate for the monetary liability. 所有新買嘅，我哋用翻晒佢而家呢一個 rate，咁 compare 翻 with closing rate。 Okay, and then when you compare with the closing rate, you can calculate the remeasurement gain or loss here. It is remeasurement gain of 1,272.咁你記住咯喎，呢度中間嘅 difference 咧就係首先係所有 income statement 用緊 average rate、actual rate，然後就係所有今年新買嘅嘢，佢要用翻 purchase day 嘅 rate。Inventory 就特別啲啦，因為佢個 purchase 係跟翻 P&L 嗰個 purchase in 嘅 income statement 啦，咁我哋會用翻呢一個228000用翻 average rate，因為可能佢個 purchase 咧 during the year 都係有幾次組成嘅。So here, this question is difficult for two parts. First part, you need to find out all the newly purchased. Second part, you need to find out at the beginning, what is the opening monetary item. 咁呢條題目難嘅地方咧，兩個。第一，你要揾翻晒，因為佢冇俾 opening 嗰個 statement of financial position，你要揾翻啦。第二，佢同頭先嗰兩條題目唔同嘅，佢有好多新買嘅嘢，我哋就擺晒落呢一度嘅。And then you can get the remeasurement gain here. Any questions? Okay, if no questions, let's continue for the statement of financial position. 咁我哋就做好晒嘅 income statement 嗰邊啦。income statement 呢個1272擺埋上去，咁我哋就會得出個 retained earning 係18648。And then let's look at the statement of financial position. So for the statement of financial position, all figures, it is using closing rate. So here we will use the closing rate for all monetary assets. And then for patent, newly purchased during the year, we have array. Inventory, we have array given in part B. Insurance, prepay, we have newly purchased, we have a rate. And then share capital, we'll use historical rate, retained earning, we'll copy from the income statement. So we need to calculate Note D. Note D is about the equipment. Remember, this equipment involves two parts. One part is previously already existing. The other part is newly purchased during the year. Okay, so please input all the other item first, and then we will have a look on Note D. 咁你先抄咗呢個部分先，咁跟住我哋就會睇埋個 Note D 啦。Okay, so let's look at Note D. So Note D, it involves two equipment. One is the existing equipment that is have the cost of 200,000, and then we purchase it on 1st of January 2001, and then we have buy it since 1st of January. Now is 2002. We have already used for 2 years. Therefore, the accumulated depreciation is 14,000. That is for 2 years. The net book value is 160,000, and then we purchase it at the 1st of January. But you cannot use that rate. We will use the rate at acquisition day rate. And then for the newly purchased equipment that purchased on 10th of July 2002, we will have half year's depreciation during the year. And then it is newly purchased. We will use the purchase days rate, that is 0.4. Then its total is 18,700, 18,800. 咁我哋就計返呢個數出嚟啦。Okay, do you have any questions? Or do you have which part that you need to review it again? You can let me know, or you can stay behind and then I show you the answer again. Or actually, all the answer will be uploaded to Moodle after the class. 咁你可以選擇一陣間留低啦，我再 show 翻俾你睇，或者你有嘢唔明問嘅，咁又或者係咧稍後都會將 answer 擺上 Moodle 噶啦。Okay, so how do you feel? Do you think that the remeasurement method is difficult? Okay, so that's all for our module. 咁如果冇特別問題咧，我又有幾樣嘢想提翻同學嘅。咁未完嘅，咁我仲有啲嘢想提翻你啦。咁首先就係咧呢個 module 咧，我哋就去到今日完晒噶啦。咁下星期二 下星期一 26th of the April I will have a test review from 10 to 12。咁下個星期一嘅朝頭早10至12啦，咁我會有個 test review 嘅。咁我今晚或者聽日咧，我就會 send 條 link 俾你。咁你下個禮拜就可以帶埋你嘅測驗卷，咁就聽我講一次啦。咁 answer 咧就唔會 upload 上網，咁我會上堂講俾你聽，咁你就自己 mark 低佢啦。咁呢個係第一個 point 啦。第二個 point 咧就係咧。我 send 咗呢一個 instruction 出嚟嘅，咁我想同你 go through 一啲嘢先，逐樣嚟下。有個 instruction 就話俾你聽咧，我哋嘅 final assessment 咧就會 conduct on 10th of May from 3 o'clock in the afternoon until 8 o'clock in the evening. It account for 50% of your module mark. That we will have 3 questions from chapter 2 to chapter 6 and also chapter 8. And you are required to complete the final assessment by yourself. And then students should go to Moodle, download the questions, and then upload the answer in the answer book in handwriting. If you have difficulty to print the answer book, you can use single line A4 paper. Remember to reserve a page for your cover page. And then fill in the box and all the information, and then remember to write the name and student ID at each top of the paper. And you need to submit it within one PDF file, not more than 20 meg. If you use the link I provide it to you, jpg to pdf.com, it can help you to generate a PDF format that less than 20 meg. And please help me to do that. Rename your file using here。咁麻煩你幫手啦，你將你個 file 名咧跟翻我哋呢個 format，因為我哋一 download 落嚟之後咧，佢就會有一個次序去排。咁如果你唔係用呢個名咧，咁啲次序亂咗咧，我哋就需要時間去執啦。咁亦都可以嘅話咧，請你幫手啦。L02啦呢組，你個名黐住寫得㗎啦，然後 underscore， 然後你嘅 student ID。咁我哋咧 download 落嚟之後 print 出嚟咧，就可以順一個次序簡單啲啦。咁記得咧，你要撳 submit 掣。上一次有同學係唔記得撳 submit 掣㗎嚇，咁唔記得撳 submit 掣。你之後撳翻去可能會 count 你 late， 咁記得一定要去到最尾 submitted for grading 嘅。好，咁我哋有個新嘅規矩要提一提你啦。我哋係8點鐘結束，如果你係遲過8點。即係幾十秒唔計你啦嚇，8點01分至8點15分能夠交到上 Moodle 嘅話咧，我哋係會扣20分嘅，20% 嘅分數 penalty mark for 20% if you late for 15 minutes. If you submit after 8:15, sorry, the Moodle will be closed and then your script will not be marked. 遲過15分鐘咧，你就會係0分，咁即係 fail 噶啦。咁請你留意今次呢一個嘅安排，原因就係咧今次個 final assessment 咧，我哋 online 啦，咁我哋有陣時都要同翻一啲嘅工會交代翻，我哋點樣去確保翻同學係真係自己做自己嘢啦 ，within 嗰個時段交啦。咁如果遲咗，我哋本身會點樣安排啦？咁我哋都需要交代下。咁所以我哋咧覺得15分鐘係最多嘅遲到嘅情況㗎啦。咁因為上一次其實遲過15分鐘交，其實都係少過10個人嘅啫嚇。咁所以我哋就 cut 咗呢個 time 嚟做呢個標準啦。咁咧今次都會有嘅 question one 咧，我哋會有 consolidation worksheet。咁我原身俾你嗰個係 on last page 嘅，咁我改一改翻，咁對你唔大影響嘅。咁個 consolidation worksheet 咧就會係 page 4 and 5嘅。咁記住 consolidation worksheet 係冇分嘅，唔需要做個 consolidation worksheet。如果你覺得係嘅話，唔需要交嗰個 consolidation worksheet，因為係冇分嘅。你要交咩先有分咧？你要做個 statement consolidated income statement 同埋 consolidated statement of financial position 咧，先至有分嘅。咁個 worksheet 係 for 你 reference only 嘅啫。咁同埋咧，你要 show 你所有嘅 working 啦，唔應該有小數位啦，有小數位可能你計錯啦。如果真係你覺得有嘅，咁你記得 round to nearest integers 啦。同埋咧，上一次同學做嗰啲嘅entry 咧都做得好亂啦，所以我哋今次咧你要有簡單嘅 narrative。點樣為之簡單嘅 narrative 咧？譬如好似呢句，你咪寫翻咯 CJE4 NCI share post acquisition retain earning。喺呢一句子入邊，你可以有簡寫，可以寫 NCI， 可以寫 retain earning， 但係長嘅 account name 係不能夠寫簡寫。咁你俾翻一啲好簡短嘅 narrative 我得㗎啦嚇 ，narrative 好簡單，咁我哋先知你做緊啲咩 entry 嚇。咁有個 brief and narrative 啦。abbreviation of account name NCI 呢啲 for account name 就唔可以嘅，咁大致上係咁啦。好，亦都睇翻咯，呢度有個簡短版嘅5月10號啦、3至8啦、Chapter 2 to Chapter 6同埋 Chapter 8啦 ，handwriting 啦。咁另外我哋有3條題目嘅，咁亦都係提你啦。個 consolidation worksheet 冇分，你要做 consolidate income statement 同埋 consolidate financial position 嘅。咁另一條係 foreign currency translation， 一條係個essay type 啦。咁另外啦，遲15分鐘就扣20%，15分鐘打後咧就係100% 扣晒㗎啦。好，咁呢度要做 consolidate income statement 同埋 consolidate financial position， 咁即係要點做咧？你可以去翻我哋 Chapter 4咧，其實教你咧，我哋做個 worksheet， 做完 worksheet 之後將啲嘢抄翻一次，淨係要第一個 column 同埋最尾個 column 就已經夠啦。而 income statement 咧，抄到 net profit after tax 就得㗎啦。income statement 唔需要抄後邊 retain 嗰扎㗎。咁你抄到 net profit after tax 之後咧，紫色呢兩個點表達咧？咁呢度間個 double underline 153 100。 然之後咧就寫住 profit attributable to owner to NCI， 呢個係 IAS International Accounting Standard 嘅 disclosure 嘅方法嚟嘅。咁如果同學唔清楚咧，喺第6課後邊咧，我都 upload 咗一個叫做 Reference Hong Kong ICPA 呢個嘅，咁你可以開翻呢一個嚟睇。開翻呢一個咧，請你去呢一頁睇啦嚇，707頁。707頁咧有個 consolidated income statement， 咁 income statement 咧就冇乜特別嘅，你照翻你平時做抄翻第一個 column 同最尾嘅 column 就得啦。然後咧仲有個712先712係啦，712有個 1.3.2 叫做 pro forma two statement 呢個簡短版嘅 statement of profit and loss 嘅，咁我哋有 revenue 啦，做到落去 profit for the year double underline， 然後就寫翻 profit attributable to 呢兩個數等於就得啦。咁呢個擺上去咧712呢版咧，其實就話俾你聽個 format 我要嘅 income statement 就係咁啦，一個 column 夠啦，我哋冇舊年嗰個，淨係今年個 column， 而呢度去到 profit for the year double underline 就得啦，然後分翻開 profit attributable to parent 同埋 profit attributable to NCI 就可以啦。咁最主要係個 income statement 嗰度咧，就唔需要做後邊 opening retained earning 嗰一 part 咁解嘅啫。咁呢個就係個 format。咁記得啦，你一定係要交 income statement 同埋 financial position， 你交 worksheet 係冇分㗎。咁你可以參考翻啦，呢度啲資料俾你啦。咁咧大致上係咁多啦。好，另外講多一個題外話先，咁樣咧就係喺4月16號啊 Tommy 我哋同事就 send 咗個 email 出嚟啦，咁就係關於一個 alumni 嘅，咁呢度有條 link 嘅，咁就想同學咧 click 翻入去啦，因為我哋都明白嚇呢2年其實同學都冇乜翻嚟學校上過堂啦，咁都跟住就畢業啦，尤其是 Year 3入嚟嗰啲同學就更加啦，咁我哋都想你填一填呢個 form， 留低少少你嘅個人資料啦，你個名咧，你嘅 email 啦，咁將來咧我哋都會當你係一個嘅舊生會咁樣一個嘅聯絡，咁學校啲咩活動會通知你，尤其是有陣時啲僱主啊，佢哋想請一啲同學畢咗業2-3年，有啲工作經驗嘅咧，我哋都可能會透過呢啲途徑去通知你嘅。咁所以都係留你簡單嘅個人資料俾我哋咧，就可以裝到呢個 alumni 嘅活動啦。咁請你一陣間都幫忙填一填你少少嘅個人資料啦。咁好即係比較唔係咁理想咧，就係今個學年咧，其實都完全冇機會翻學校上堂啦。咁尤其是 Year 3 join 嘅同學，基本上呢2年入邊，可能你淨係都喺學校翻咗第一個 sem 嗰10零個禮拜，咁之後都冇翻過學校嚇。咁嚟緊嘅 summer sem 咧，其實我自己都會星期4、5翻學校教嘅。咁如果你到時揾到嘢做就翻工啦，如果你冇特別嘢做又想翻嚟揾我傾下都可以嘅。咁因為咧QP 嚟緊咧，佢哋嘅 workshop 會係一個新嘅形式。呢個 QP 嚟緊嘅 workshop 新嘅形式啦，我嚟緊5月1號就會喺即係教翻工會嗰邊新個 QP 嗰個 workshop 嘅，咁所以變咗你想了解多啲咧，你都可以 summer sem 未有嘢做嘅，翻嚟揾下我，咁我都可以同你講講啦，新嘅 workshop 會係點做啦，又或者都可以傾下你自己 career path 啊，或者各樣你想點樣嘅，咁你都可以到時約我啦。咁我星期4、5、10至1會學校教書，咁跟住可以落咗堂同你傾傾都可以。咁大致上我今日要 go through 嘅嘢係咁多啦，睇睇同學有冇特別嘢想問。最記得就係要唔好遲交啦，同埋仲有一樣嘢就係下個禮拜你哋要交個 group assignment 啦，我稍後都會 send email 再提你個 group assignment。請你記得一早揾一個同學交就得㗎啦，咁要填翻嗰個嘅 cover sheet，個 cover sheet 用半版就可以啦。好，一口氣講晒所有要講嘅嘢啦，睇睇你有冇咩特別嘅問題啦。如果冇特別嘅問題咧，我哋就到呢度啦。咁下個禮拜會見多你一次，咁就會係嗰個嘅 test review。Okay, so see if you have any questions, you can stay behind. If you come across any questions during the time until 10th of May, you can email me, leave your mobile phone number, or you can MS Team me, and then I can talk to you directly through the phone or through the MS Team. So good luck for your final assessment, and remember to do your group assignment. And then if you come across any questions, feel free to email me, feel free to talk with me on NS Team. And see you next week for the last class of the text review on Monday from 10 to 12. Okay, see you and good luck for your final assessment.